What is India's first digital labor law? Why Kerala wants to ban after work calls? And will this right to disconnect become right to peace? The work-life balance debate has been on and off in our country. In the country where 52% of employees have quoted mental health concerns and a burnout because of lack of work-life balance, it is an issue that needs to be addressed. And Kerala has taken up on this issue where they are bringing in right to disconnect bill. That means there will be no work and you have the right to say to no work after work. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about this right to disconnect bill. What is it, why is it needed and how it will be implemented, what challenges are there, and then we'll be looking into a practice question as well. So let us start with understanding that what exactly has been introduced. When we talk about the right to disconnect bill of 2025, this will be moved by Kerala government in some time, and if this is passed, then Kerala will become the first state where it gives the citizens the right to say no to work after hours. That means the employees will have the right to be offline once the work hours are done. And this move follows up the rising cases that we have seen, especially in the mental health concerns such as anxiety, burnout, and especially the lack of work-life balance that has been seen in the recent working lifestyles. Now let us also try to understand the idea behind this particular bill. The whole idea behind this bill is very simple. It is to legally protect the workers so that they are not either pressurized, or if they say no, they shouldn't be penalized also. So if you are an employee and if you are saying no to work after the given work hours, you shouldn't be pressurized into taking more work and you shouldn't be penalized for the same or be present as part of any sort of communication, be it calls, emails, video calls, messages, especially after the designated office hours. And as I said, this move comes after the increased mental health concerns that we are seeing. The purpose it is trying to serve is also pretty much out there, that it is trying to restore the work-life balance, which has been a big issue. The debates around it have been high, where the Gen Z rejects the hustle culture, but at the same time when we are talking about the other millennials and other generations, even they do not reject it, they are suffering from the consequences that are coming from it. Apart from that, it is also focusing on strengthening the overall well-being with special focus on mental well-being. It is also looking into promoting the digital work culture in a healthy way, and it is also going to bring in a national precedent, especially for labor reform in the digital age. So this will be a template that will serve as a case study for other states as well as national labor law framework, especially in the digital age that we are talking about. Now let us move ahead and understand the very much need of this law, that what were the causes that this was very much needed. The first thing that comes as a cause here is the work culture that we are seeing in the digital age. That means you have to be present every time, all the time. That we can label as always on work culture, which is facilitated by devices like mobile phones, laptops, iPads, etc. That means you have the option and you have the devices to be connected always. So that means if anything urgent comes up or anything labeled as urgent comes up, you are obligated or you are pressurized into being part of it, be it in form of communication, be it in form of work, or be it in form of execution. Second thing that we are seeing, because of this always on work culture, there is lack of work-life balance, and it also has a lot of mental health impacts. So it is leading to psychological as well as social impacts. Recent studies have showed that 52% of workers have told that the lack of work-life balance is a cause for their burnout that they have seen. Studies also link that constant digital work pressure. That means you have to be connected, you have to be present, even if you are not in the office. That has resulted in chronic stress, burnout, sleep disturbance, reduced concentration, and it has affected the social life, which includes family conflict as well as loss of personal time. If you look at the study of Eurofound 2023, it came up with a very heavy number that 20% of employees which are in remote and hybrid jobs, they have to work beyond contractual hours, and this not only leads to fatigue, tiredness, but it also leads to decline in their productivity, performance and output. So it is not just impacting the individual, it is backhandedly impacting the company and productivity as well. Another important cause that we can find here is the fact the economic as well as the productivity, which is the main concerns of the company, that they want it to be at the highest part. That argument is also not valid in this scenario, as overworked employees have lesser productivity. And companies which offer better work-life balance not only show higher satisfaction but higher amount of productivity per employee as well. And add to that, you also find such companies have lower attrition rate, lesser people leaving their companies, and also better at innovation. So there is a study-backed understanding that the productivity argument, that the constant connectedness will lead to better productivity, that also fails here. Another factor that we can consider that brought in this bill was the global experiences that have been seen. For example, if we talk about France, back in 2017 itself, that means 8 years back, it was the first country to introduce right to disconnect law. Italy, Spain, Ireland, they have already similar frameworks. And if we talk about European Union, their 2023 report showed that such laws, they have resulted in better mental health, and they have worked only when there has been strong monitoring. So bringing in a law not just for Kerala but for India also, that is not enough. Strong monitoring and implementation is very important. But nevertheless, this bill stands as a very strong inspiration, as a bold step, and this can serve as a template not just for India but also other countries, that how it is important to move with times, not only facilitate or talk about economic numbers but also look into the social parameters, the well-being of citizens. Now let us move to understand the key provisions that are coming in the bill. So if we talk about the key provisions, the first direct key provision is the legal right to disconnect. That means the employees are legally enabled, that they are there, that they can refuse the calls, they can refuse to connect after work hours, and this is being specially implemented for private sector. Gradually, public sector can also make up such similar policies. The whole idea is that the employees have the explicit right to reject any sort of calls, emails or any sort of connection after the designated work hours. After that, there is also protection for penalties. That means if the employee is rejecting the call or communication, then he also needs the protection from pressure and penalization. That has also been provided. That means employer cannot deny or demote or give any kind of punishment against in any form to the employee. Other than that, there has been a clear definition framework. That means working hours, emergency, communication, all of these things need to be importantly, clearly defined in the company policy itself, so that the employer and employee are aware of what they are signing up for, and anything beyond that can be legally refused by the employee itself. Apart from that, not just implementing the rules, there is a proper grievance redressal committee which has been brought in, so as to ensure that if there are any grievances that arise, they can be addressed, they can be mitigated and penalized also if required. Who will do that? Each district has a committee which will be present and which will be working under regional labor commissioner itself. There is also provision of employer obligations. That means They have to train the HR, the company, as per the digital labor law. Furthermore, there has to be creation of company policies with the employees keeping in mind, and if there are incidences of connect after the designated hours, they need to be recorded for review. Apart from that, reporting and monitoring has also been emphasized on. That means annual report on well-being of the employees will need to be submitted along with the complaints resolution to the state labor department. And there has been a special focus on awareness and mental health support. That means the bill encourages companies to promote digital detox, promote work-life balance, mental health well-being through their own workers and the setup they are providing. So this bill in itself seems complete when we are addressing the problem of the always on work culture and the consequences that come in. But the question here is, no matter how good the bill is, the question lies in terms of implementation and overcoming the challenges. So now let us also look into the challenges that lie in front of us. The first thing that lies as a challenge is the ambiguity that remains in the bill. Certain terms have not been clearly defined. For example, if we are talking about emergency work, if the company policy defines emergency work on their own and there is ambiguity, then the employee is going to misuse that. Industry variation. There are certain sectors like healthcare which need the flexibility, that need the connection, that need the contact after the designated hours, and they definitely require flexibility. That means sector-specific exemption or shift-based interpretation, they need to be brought in. That has not been addressed. Other than that, we also get to see that there will be an enforcement challenge. This bill looks great on paper, but proper monitoring, strict implementation will be required. When we are talking about district committees, they would need proper manpower as well as technology to actually verify the claims, penalize them and address them accordingly. And a huge challenge will come from the behavior and the culture. That will be our cultural and behavioral barriers, because many employees, they will fear that there will be an informal retaliation. Many people who are working, they will feel that their employers will retaliate, pressurize or demote or penalize in some form or the other, even if they are legally protected. Apart from that, the senior management attitude has been always to focus on or drive the always available culture, which needs to be changed with time. And such norms which have been existing for a long time, they need time to be changed. They need leadership sensitivity training. They need collective culture shift, which is not done in a moment. So it is very important that we understand this bill is step in the right direction, but in long term, it might take a little time to reflect on this. Furthermore, it is a great idea to learn from global lessons. For example, if you talk about France, which was first to implement this, initially the implementation rate, it was low, compliance was low because the rules were vague and there was limited awareness. So it is important to learn from this lesson and bring in better manager accountability, employee education and continuous review rather than only one-time enforcement or bringing it on paper just once. Apart from that, there needs to be a focus on a proper balance between flexibility and regulation. Because if we go in too rigid laws, that means it can actually dip the productivity, which we do not want. So there has to be a proper balance in understanding that what these laws can bring, how they should be brought out. And in this scenario, because Kerala is the one bringing it at first, it can gradually go for phased implementation, starting with certain industries first, understanding the results and working around it gradually. Now, when we talk about such bills, they come with great significance because the expected outcome is not only enhanced mental health, job satisfaction, better productivity, better social relationship, increased trust between employer-employee, but at the same time, it also brings in broader policy linkage, putting us on the global policy landscape. For example, this particular bill aligns with International Labour Organization Decent Work Agenda. It directly supports UN Sustainable Development Goal 3 as well as UN Sustainable Development Goal 8. It also complements Digital India by ensuring ethical digital use and India's Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code of 2020. So it is aligning with the national policy landscape as well as the global policy landscape. That means showing that it is putting up in the right direction. And if we talk about the long-term possibility, we get to see, as I said, it is going to serve as a template for national labor law reform in coming times. It is going to encourage better conversations about digital rights, mental health, ethical technology use in workplaces, and this will be a milestone because it is the first step in the direction of better work-life balance, better productivity, and also better mental health well-being. Now, I'll leave you with a practice question. You can put down your answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.